see.
Live now.
Well, she says we're live.
Yeah, you're live.
All right. Oh, here it goes. Okay. Good on my end.
Pause this. And we'll go back to here. Okay, I think we're just about ready. For anybody who's watching, this is just the time lag getting these up. There's like a 15-second time lag. If you say something right now, if you say shit, then it will go over YouTube for another 15 seconds. So you got time to stop it. Okay, one more thing. Okay. Are we ready?
Good on my end.
Ready, Jordan?
Yeah.
Okay. And we start in 3, 2, 1. Good evening and welcome to TalkWrite Show. I'm your host, Wayne Stennett. And as you can see, we have slightly different surroundings here. And you might see a very large fellow sitting over here next to me. Actually, there's 2 large fellows sitting next to me. As we usually do on the first episode of the season, we brought Dan Mason, Cap Daniels back in, and we're just going to talk about, what's happened this past year. And Nick, why don't you take over for a second? Let me finish doing this.
Okay, well, we're going to hear all about how Cap is here with his buddy. We have Cap Daniels, author of the Chase Fulton series, and also his Russian assassin, Anya. I'm going to hear more about that. And we also have Logan Riles, who is an author of action thrillers and political thrillers. And before we came on the air, all of us were suggesting he throw a guy on a boat and have a nautical action thriller.
Absolutely. Yeah.
See? Excellent. Peer pressure. But Cap or Logan, what brings the two of you into Wayne's bailiwick?
I can answer that. A Cessna 210.
Indeed. We flew over this afternoon. It's always a great pleasure to get to visit with Wayne. Without Wayne, you would have never heard of me. And I'd love to spend any time that I can with Wayne. He's taught me more than anyone else in this industry. And I'll always appreciate the start he gave me and the friendship we've built and the mentorship, the time that he spent turning me into an author. And I'll always love him and owe him for that. When I asked how I could repay him, he said, do it for someone else you believe in when you can. And that's why Logan's here.
Yeah.
Logan came to me a few years ago and said, I think I'd like to start writing. And I said, I think I can tell you how to get started. And we started by reading Wayne's Blue Collar to No Collar,
Yep.
his book on how to begin in this industry. And it has turned into a multi-generational effort now. And it's great to have Logan with us tonight. And I love spending all the time I can with him as well. He's become a dear friend, and we disagree about everything we can, just so we can argue with each other, because we love to argue. He's a brilliant writer, and I'm proud to call him a friend.
And let me reiterate, they flew over here from Alabama.
Yeah.
Besides being a tremendous author, air traffic controller, private pilot, sailing instructor, scuba. You're scuba instructor certified too. So anything you want to do tropical, Dan's your man.
But I'm not good at any of them.
Well, we got to fly home.
We did.
You gotta be a little good
In the dark.
in the dark. Yeah.
Airports are easier to find in the dark. So
I imagine they would be.
they are much easier. It's almost impossible to get lost in the dark.
So what you got coming up, Nick? You just finished Boone, didn't you?
Yes, I have Boone. It's simply called Boone. I figured that's what it is. So why not make it sound what it is? Boone is a prequel to the Deep series, and it follows Boone from the age of 11 through some rather seminal events in his life, and we kind of follow some romance and adventure until he winds up in Bon Air and might bump into a certain someone.
I'm looking forward to it. The audiobook, I can't read anymore.
Bump into a certain someone everybody wants to bump into.
Yeah. Yes, well, and she's supposed to have her own book too, but boy, howdy, this took a lot longer than I expected. So I'm moving on
And
to
it ended up being a lot longer than you expected too, didn't it?
yeah, it was supposed to be a novella, and it's the same length as Deep Cut and Deep Roots. So it's a
Really?
novel. But book 7 will be, I'm actually already beginning work on it. I'm going to try to get this one out a lot faster than Boone took.
Where will the next one be set?
I am not prepared to reveal that information.
Okay.
Oh,
We can take guesses.
Eastern Caribbean, Western Caribbean?
I guarantee nobody would guess it. That's the hint.
I'm gonna start rattling off islands
Me
now.
too. Islands I don't know how to spell.
I'm in talks with some people on site, some people at a research institute, and a few things to try to get some information. And whether or not I'm able to make it to one of these particular islands, that's kind of why Nink is still up in the air for me.
Well, if you need somebody to split the expenses and share a room or something, I know a good dive buddy.
Well, this is all right.
Maybe
Well,
we can set both our next books there.
Or why stop at both? Let's do 3.
Yeah, we'll just all go there and
And it can be your inaugural.
it could
sea
be the
adventure.
first one. Yeah, this is.
Yeah.
So see, if you would just reveal the place right now, you could
It's
seal
not
this
gonna
deal.
happen. Because if I don't reveal it, I actually have 2 options. I think
Okay.
I'm settled on one, but I have a
okay,
backup.
well, let's see.
But boy, would it be
Already
cool.
did the Turks and Caicos,
Oh yeah, no, you're not going to guess it.
Trinidad and Tobago.
You might guess the backup because a certain character had his face ripped off by a jaguar and retreated to these islands, and he has it in for Boone and
Oh,
Emma.
I know where it is now.
Now that's my backup. That's actually not where I'm planning.
Oh crap.
As long as it's not Haiti. Haiti's falling apart right now.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
What a terrible thing that is.
I talked about it a lot in Deep Hex because so much of what was going on in the Turks and Caicos had everything to do with what was going on in Haiti. They were getting so many people in, and they'd have, I guess, sea coyotes or whatever you call the smugglers would drop them on uninhabited keys off the coast of South Caicos and go, yeah, this is Provo, just right over there. Leave them there at night, and then the next morning people would go, are there people out on that uninhabited key?
That's less risk for the coyote.
Yeah.
Well, definitely. But they caught somebody while we were there, one of the guys who dumped people off.
Hmm.
And I was also there when square grouper were found by the fishermen.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
They were like, why is everyone leaving all of a sudden? Well, tell you later. And then they told me later.
Well, speaking of new books, you had a release. Of course, you had a release. It's Cap Daniels.
It's a day that
You
ends
had a
in
recent
Y.
release, right?
We did, and we're very, very pleased with it. The sales are strong, the reviews are wonderful, and we get email every day from readers who are enjoying the series, and they seem to be deeper into it than I am. Sometimes they know more about my characters than I seem to know, and that's always an incredible compliment. When they love our characters and want to know more about them, and I learn things about my characters from my readers, which is an interesting concept. But the way Wayne and I write, we write such freestyle.
Yeah, one of my readers commented that he can't wait to see Jesse stopping in at this place and this place and this place in Appalachia. So I just copied it, pasted it into the document.
Sure, we can do
Just
that.
a reminder. I'll get him there. No problem.
That's a great segue into your upcoming book.
Yeah, we just had Way Anchor was released March 1st, and it's done really well. Reviews doing real well. Ranking's still good. And the second book in the Young Jesse series, which I'm real excited about, it'll come out June 1st. Unless you're a subscriber to my newsletter in which case you're probably going to get it 2 weeks early. It's done. It's already uploaded. All I got to do is push the button and it's out there. But we're going to hold off until the actual release day.
See, tonight you're going to get 1,000 emails begging you to release it tonight.
Anybody that emails me, I'll just go ahead and send you one. No, forget that.
Yeah, that's a terrible plan.
I don't have that kind of time.
You'll have to hire some more help to pull that one off.
Well, Logan, you got anything out recent?
Yeah, we had a couple out. We did one in March and one in April. Pretty exciting. Did pretty good. And two different series, doing two different series at once, and both did pretty well.
You were writing them both at the same time?
No, well, I alternate between series. I've got a political thriller series that's pretty geopolitical, so a lot of the stuff going on overseas, and then I've got a series that's action thriller domestically. This most recent one was in New Orleans, and
cool.
yeah, it was great. So I kind of like, it's kind of like it's a style change to go from one to the other, and keeps me refreshed, keeps me going pretty strong.
I tried to write 2 books at once a couple of times, actually, maybe more than that. But it's not easy, especially when you're writing one from a male first person, and the second one is third person female. So I kept messing that up.
Yeah, I couldn't actually draft them both at the same time. I gotta finish one and then go to the other and bounce back and forth.
Yeah.
And that works for me. So,
I have a hard time narrating other people's audiobooks and writing at the same time because I'm like, I have a different voice in my head. So I like to stay one thing at a time.
Wayne and I were discussing that earlier, how hearing your voice on our characters often makes us hear them differently when we sit down to write. That's one of the enormous benefits of audiobooks, in my opinion. The characters get to come to life with your voice or whoever our performer happens to be. And that changes the dynamic of the story for me. The characters take on traits that they didn't necessarily have when we created them. And people like you, who are incredibly talented, bring them alive in ways that we never imagined when we wrote them the first time.
Yeah, I was telling him about Shorty. And when I was listening to the QC, Rusty's father. If you haven't listened to the audiobook of the first Young Jesse, A Seller's Market, Nick does this. He totally surprised me. I didn't know he was going to do this, but I told him to, bring Jesse and Rusty's voices down a little bit because they're, in their late teens, early 20s. So he did that great. And then when he introduced Rusty's father to Jesse, and Shorty spoke in Rusty's voice, I started rolling on the floor.
Plus about 10% more. I tried to make him more rusty than Rusty.
And when you look back at it, of course he would.
Sure.
That's because, I sound like my dad did when he was my age.
Me too.
And I don't sound anything like I did when I was 20.
Gosh, I hope I don't. I couldn't say anything that made sense when I was 20. What do you have coming out next, Logan?
Next one's going to be a book called Strike Back in the Mason Sharp series, and I don't know when that's going to be. Probably June.
Nice.
We're working through edits now, so we'll get that one out. That's pretty exciting. That's my hero Mason Sharp is a former police detective, and he finds out that his partner's in trouble, and so he goes to help her. And of course, there's complications,
of course,
as these things go. So I'm pretty excited about that. One's in the Boston Mountains in Arkansas.
Nice.
So that one's gonna be fun. Yeah.
I was just thinking, I didn't know Boston had mountains.
When we did the blurb, it originally said something about the Boston Mountains, and I changed it to Arkansas Mountain Country.
Nice.
Because I didn't know until researching for the book, I wondered how many people would think it was in New England.
Sure.
I would have.
Yeah.
Had it Arkansas.
It's actually Northwest Arkansas, Boston Mountains. That's what they call it.
Nice.
And it's not considered part of the Ozarks?
It's adjacent to Ozark country. But it's I don't believe it's part of the Ozark mountain ranges.
But it does exist.
Yes, it's 100%. Now the town is fictional, but the region is 100% legitimate. It's very rural, north central Arkansas. So pretty excited about that.
I think that's something the four of us have in common. Our settings become characters in the books.
Yeah.
And certainly Appalachia has that quality. the places I write about and Nick writes about that we've dived and sailed and traveled and fallen in love with. It's nice to be able to bring those into the story as a character rather than just a background. And I think all of us, all four of us do that.
And we were just sitting out back talking about the cruise we took what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago now,
At least
2023, 2022, 2022.
Was it?
And both of us agreed that one of our favorite stops was St. Martin, or not St. Martin, St. Bart's.
St. Bart's.
And just being there and absorbing, the ambiance of the place that you want. So I had to write about it.
Absolutely.
So that's where Jesse's daughter got married, was in St. Bart's.
I wrote several chapters on St. Bart's, including a landing at that airport that I want to do. I want to make that landing one day and survive it.
Well,
we'll see.
They couldn't land. They couldn't land at that airport because Jesse was flying the Mallard.
Yep.
And it needs a lot longer runway.
Yes, it does.
And bringing up the rest of the wedding party was John Cunningham's Mac. No, not Mac Travis.
Buck Riley.
Buck Riley.
Yep.
In his
With him.
Albatross.
Albatross.
So neither one of those could land there. So they landed over on St. Thomas and took the ferry over.
They could have splashed down.
Yeah. But you have to have special permission and all kind of stuff to do that.
Yeah, after you're there.
Better to ask forgiveness, etc.
You could run into a Jimmy Buffett.
We could.
Yeah.
I had a thought when I saw Wayne today for the first time. We several years ago, Wayne and I talked about one of the things we would like to do before we get too old to do it is climb the fence at Hemingway's and swim a lap in his pool and try to escape before the Key West Police Department arrives. But we decided that if they do arrive and we go to jail, we'll make $1 million telling that story.
Well, you gave him heads up now.
We did. That's
Yeah,
okay. That's
yeah.
okay. I don't know if anyone's ever pulled that one off, but
Well, we actually visited there. We had during the Key West Mystery Fest. What was it, about 5 years ago, Jordan? 5 or 6 years ago. We actually had dinner
nice.
in the yard at Hemingway's,
Very nice.
and got to walk the grounds and play with the cats and everything, and tour the house. They were very, very. It was just a lot of fun.
Anyone who's not done that, even if you're not a Hemingway fan, it's an incredible history tour just to visit the house.
Yeah. The story of the penny.
Yep. Where his boxing ring used to be.
Yeah.
I think
we have a question, or rather a command, from Melissa Mason to Logan. Says, "Give my dear Maggie a plug."
Yeah, I saw that. Melissa has become Maggie Trousdale, President Maggie Trousdale, biggest fan. That's a character in my political thriller series, the Prosecution Force series, and she's from the swamps down in Louisiana, outside New Orleans, and first appeared in an earlier series. And I wasn't really going to do anything with that character, but I enjoyed writing her, and people enjoyed reading about her. And so I ended up she was a governor of Louisiana. I ended up transitioning her into national politics, and Melissa's a big fan. In fact, Melissa's fandom has influenced the trajectory of Maggie's character, because I can't say too much, but I can't make villains out of people who are so beloved. I'll just say that. I have lethal threats against that. So
it's
Well,
nice.
that's probably
It is.
something that happens with everybody here. Is you probably all have ancillary characters that you just sort of like, oh, I need somebody here, and then they suddenly take over.
yes.
Absolutely.
Well, in my second book, Fallen Hunter, I've told this story several times, but in my second book, Fallen Hunter, the first book, it was really difficult to make up names. It's not that easy. It's tough. So I just posted on Facebook, hey, who wants to be in my next book? And I had a whole bunch of responses. So I made 2 lists, male and female. When I came to a new character in the book, I'm pantsing away. There's Joe the bartender. Okay. get that next person in that
Nice.
column and make it. I ended up having to kill off all of them, with the exception of a few, and one still exists today.
Nice.
Sherelle Koshinsky was in book 2. Actually, she was in book 1.
Oh,
She's been in every single Jesse book.
no kidding.
And it's a girl that used to live down the street from me. We went to high school together.
See, I'm not smart enough to spell a name that complex, so I can't do that.
Well,
I'm sure Nick will
I
appreciate it.
mispronounced it when I first recorded that character. I think I said Sherrill.
Pearl.
Yeah.
Sherrill.
At East Tennessee's coming back.
That's it, Sherrill. Oh boy,
Sneak
I had to
in.
really crank it up for Boom. Twanging away.
Nick,
Well, let's see.
I was telling
ahead.
Dan on the flight out here, we were talking about what you do and the narrator role and how much fun we have picking some of these words. And there was, so I got to give a shout out to I'm blanking. Gary, what is wrong with me? To Gary Bennett, my narrator, who's done such a fabulous job. I don't know if you know him. Sorry, Gary, I just blanked there on your name.
He's going up on his prices now.
Yeah, he's going up on his, yeah. Anyway, I have fun with him sometimes. I'll pick a name when I'm writing overseas, and there's some kind of name from Bulgaria or whatever that I can't pronounce, or even try to learn to spell it. I'll just copy and paste, and he gets to learn how to pronounce that. And so I'll send him a message with that little bit, and I'll say, "You're welcome." He's always real cheerful about it.
I used to do that. What was that? There was some medicine in rising water, and this one drug name. It was like 42 letters long, and Nick, boom, pronounced it
Nice.
just perfect.
I
Of course,
used
he
to do
probably practiced it over
industrials.
and over off mic, but
No, I used to.
I
do
gave up
industrials
trying to
for
stump him.
pharmaceuticals.
it's a whole lot better if you find your narrator's strong points and work towards those.
Oh, 100%.
We've created some
100%.
incredible characters together.
Nick doesn't have any weak points, so he can
Oh,
do
I
control.
definitely do. And in this latest book, early on, one of the characters, Wayne had descriptions of his characters, and one of them, he's like, "Yeah, he's from South Philly. Sorry about that. I established that in an earlier book."
This was established in the first book in Fall and
I
Palm. We
know.
can't change it.
No, I'm like dredging up South, like trying to get South Philly. Even in my own book,
He
at
only
one
had
point
a
I
very
stopped.
small part in that first book, but now in the Young Jesse series,
The
he
major
is
player.
his mentor. So
Nice.
he's got
Yeah.
but yeah, you nailed it.
Well, but I
Just enough
focus
water in
more
there.
on him being a lieutenant and having gravitas than. All right, we have a question. We have something. Hi guys, love listening in. Working. Oh, it's Bob Shannon. He's working on Reborn Breeze. And Mead Breeze needs an Uber service. Can I borrow Thumb?
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay. Well, first off, if you're listening, Bob, Thumb, the made up company is THUM. There's no B on the end, and it was created by Nicholas Thacker, but he has given us carte blanche. So yes, go for it. Use Thumb.
I actually had young Jesse and his girlfriend get into a Thumb taxi,
Oh,
and the driver was Nick Thacker.
of course he was. Of course.
Thanks for that, Nick.
Oh, sure.
When we were talking at Nick, I said, "Can I use that?" And he said, "Yeah, sure." I said, "Well," he's telling me how several other authors use it also. I said, "Well, we should go an extra mile. And whenever you use it, one of the other authors who uses it, who lives closest to that area, has to be the driver."
Oh, I like that.
So that's how Nick became a driver.
I love it.
We got a lot of Nicks.
We do. We're thick with Nicks.
Yeah, we have Hick Nick and Brit Nick, and we were telling Thacker that he's just going to be Thack Nick.
Yeah.
Although by the end, I just called him Thack.
Yeah.
No, we were standing around talking there at Nick, and it dawned on me that he releases like a book a month.
Yeah.
He's fast, very quick writer. So boom, quick Nick.
Quick Nick. I like
Well,
it.
And
Quick
without
Nick.
missing a beat,
I like
his
that.
wife was standing right next door, and she says, "I've been calling him that for years."
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh.
Well, let's see. Oh, Cap, where are we on the latest Anya?
I am writing the 6th story in Anya's saga at the moment. It will be the Russians' envy. It will be set in Los Angeles because, unlike some other writers, I'm not afraid to release my settings. And so I couldn't resist. It was too easy.
Not going to happen.
And it will be based around the I guess the crooked world of cosmetic surgery, in which the Russian mafia seems to be dabbling these days. So we'll get to explore that a little bit, play around in LA.
Oh, that'll be fun.
And we're planning, the scheduled release is September for that, but you know me, I'm not good at waiting. I'm the least patient writer on earth. So as soon as it's ready, we will set it free, likely in August.
Well, Appalachia Fair is September 1st.
Okay, we'll stay away from that one.
I'm having such a fun time writing that. I've been communicating with Kat, Dawn's daughter, and Debbie, her cousin, and Debbie was one of her top beta readers. And she actually sent me a Word document where she had copied and pasted all the passages that involved Gray, Maggie's father, because Gray is going to. It was almost like Dawn planned this ahead.
Yeah.
Because you remember in her first book, Low Tide, the guy who saw the girl jump off the bridge, that was Wayne Stennett, fictional character Wayne Stennett, who served with her father in the Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere in the rest of the series does she ever mention the Marine Corps. So if Gray served with Wayne Stennett, who is 65 years old and served in the 70s and 80s, then that's about the same time that Jesse served. And he's about the same age. So I set it up to where they had a friend in common and they get back together. And that's how he meets Maggie first in which charity book was it where she went to Appalachia?
Elusive Charity.
Elusive Charity? Yeah. And in Elusive Charity, she's driving across the causeway from Appalachia to St. George Island, really long causeway, very little traffic. And she's driving a Fiat 124 Spider Abarth, really fast little sports car. So she's getting across that bridge, right? And a Jeep Cherokee turns around and comes after her with blue lights flashing. So in this new Appalachia Fair, Jesse is borrowing Charity's car, who she left with a friend on St. George Island, and he's driving across the causeway going back to Appalachia when this Jeep Cherokee does a U-turn and comes after him with the lights on.
Beautiful. I see those little winks and nods from Dawn.
Yeah.
Every time I sit down to write, she was such a powerful force in our lives.
Yeah.
And she was a dear friend and just loved everything about her. And I miss her more every day.
It's almost like she set me up for this, because we talked about it, God, for years about sharing a character. And when she made me a character in hers, I turned around and made her a character in Fallen Honor. Man, that's a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. That was a great character, though.
Yeah, she was cool. Key West fortune teller, and so now I'm telling all my readers, you absolutely have to read Low Tide before you read Appalachia Fair. Otherwise, the connection won't click. So once you read Low Tide, you'll see that connection and figure it out.
And I would recommend reading everything Dawn wrote before you read anything I've written.
Yeah, definitely.
She was a magician, just a wizardess.
Momo!
With the human language, the English language, she was by far the best writer among us, in my opinion. She was the best of us, personally and professionally. She was just wonderful. I love her and miss her.
There's one thing I noticed in her writing style that now that I've gone back and looked through all the books, it never struck me before. But instead of the dialogue tag, he replied or she replied, she always used he answered or she answered. So in Appalachia Fair, whenever it's Maggie who is answering a question, it's she answered.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I'm sure very few people are going to pick up on that, but a few more are going to pick up on it now.
And it's so much fun to be able to tie little things like that. It means so much to us.
Little Easter eggs.
Even if no one else ever finds them, we know they're there.
I know they're there.
Absolutely. So many, we were talking earlier, so many of our characters are based on real people. Do you do that, Logan, as well?
I don't admit to it. I think it's impossible not to, right?
Sure.
Because there's so many people that we know, and there was actually a character in one of my stories that was possibly based on someone I knew, but it was a real loose thing. And someone who knows me very well read the book and texted me and said, "Is this so and so?" And actually was picking up dynamic aspects of that character's character that had a lot to do with me and the relationship I had with the person that.
Oh,
So anyway, it rattled me a little bit.
sure.
But I guess I do. I guess I do.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm sure our friends and people we've known in the past, if they read our books, they probably, hey, that sound he was
Yeah.
thinking of me when he wrote that.
We don't have much control over the influence we have.
No.
What we observe, what we hear and see and taste and smell, those are naturally going to be the things that come out of us when we write creatively. And that's one of the most beautiful things about what we do, in my opinion. Apparently, Nick has turned into a dog.
Nick, where'd you go? There he is.
There he's fine.
Had to go get another beer, huh?
No, my neighbor brought me chili, and Momo lost her mind. So
you drinking
I figured it'd be
tonight?
better to mute it and go get the chili.
What are you drinking tonight, Nick?
I am drinking a beer called Liquid Vacation
Ooh,
from Lord Hobo, just outside Boston.
nice.
Let me see if we have any questions here. We do not.
Oh, we could make some up. It's sort of what we do for a living. Oh, there's one.
Oh, someone come up?
Oh.
I nearly missed it. Well, you haven't. Bill, give us a question.
Welcome aboard.
Actually, you did miss it. This is an instant replay. And I anticipated that you would arrive at this precise moment. So that's why I'm saying this.
See, that's the genius of Wayne Stennett. We're not there yet.
Is
Maybe
that
maybe
that's
someday.
pantsing pro, right?
That's
That's pro level pantsing.
Wing it.
Well done. And Nick, you are generally a pantser, but you plan a little up front, right?
No, I'm like there's Zombie Bigfoot sequel right there.
Oh, I'd forgotten
Yeah.
about
That's
your
one of the
boards,
deeps.
that's right.
No, I plot the living heck out of stuff, but it always spirals out of my control at some point. But I do try to bring it back. I usually have some kind of a set piece climax in mind that fits the island. So even if I go off the rails, I do try to bring it back. But that's why I think the last books, Hex and Focus, were like 95,000 words instead of 60, because I had to write all that extra stuff to get back onto the track.
To get there. I've never had a story stay on the rails. I have no idea how that would feel.
Well,
Unsatisfying,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
perhaps.
That'd be very boring for me, I'm afraid.
it's a lot of fun just following the character and trying to lead them. They have their own mind. They know what they're
Sure.
doing.
Well, they lead me. I try to keep up with them.
Yeah. I mean, Jesse knows a whole lot more than I do.
Yeah. All of my characters are smarter than me. That was terrifying at first, and now I've come to enjoy it. Singer, especially. Singer is one of my favorite characters. He's the Southern Baptist sniper who dispenses wisdom at will. And I love when he talks. It's never truly coming from me. I have no idea the source of his wisdom, but it's always fun to catch up with
But
him.
you know, it's in there. It's something that you heard maybe when you were 8,
Maybe
10,
it's terrifying.
and it's been in your head all these years and never had an outlet. And then all of a sudden, boom, there's the situation, and you've got the perfect line to compliment.
I think you may be right. See what you've got to look forward to.
Okay, we have a question.
You're
As you
missing out on all the
As
fun.
you
Yeah,
get
I
old
know.
and forget your name. and
Well,
the
I'm already forgetting Gary's
the name
name.
of your
So.
narrator. and We're not going to let you live that one down.
No, he's not. He shouldn't.
Well, we're past.
All right,
the
Bill
top of the hour.
Black has a bit of a challenge question here. He's asking, fellas, give me some ideas of how your characters would approach finding treasure on the 1715 fleet.
That must be from Bill Black.
That is correct. How'd you know?
Hey, Bill, how you doing? Let's see. If Jesse were to find, well, actually, Jesse has found treasure, and in most cases, he didn't report it. So, yeah, contraband. That's how he's got to be so rich.
Yeah, I think that's the right move these days.
I suspect Boone would find someone that knows what they're doing to help, because he would be a bit out of his depth with that, I believe.
But if it was the 1715 fleet, Jesse knows a lot about that. And there's such a great story behind that alone would take up 2 or 3 chapters.
Can you give us a summary of that? I'm not familiar.
The king or the king of Spain, Ferdinand, I think it was. He was supposed to get married, and she wanted a dowry, and she specified everything she wanted in her dowry, and it was a lot. So he sent word to the Orient, and they brought pearls over and gold from South America, and they brought it all to Cuba. The artisans manufactured all these jewelry that she wanted, and then they sent it north, and got sunk in a hurricane.
Okay. Wow.
So then he did it all over again because she still wasn't consummating the marriage. So he did it all over again. More pearls, more gold, more silver, up to Cuba, redo it, head north. And this time it was during the War of Spanish Succession, and there was a lot of ships being sunk. So they gathered a whole bunch of ships together, even one French ship, and they had 13 ships go north along the Florida coast. Hurricane hit, sunk all 13. Well, sank 12 of them. The French merchantman turned east and sailed out to sea, and he was the only survivor.
None of you guys have written about this.
Not yet.
I'm claiming it, right? Nick, this is my sea adventure premise.
I feel like John Cunningham Buck Riley dealt with the 1715 fleet.
Probably.
That is fascinating.
I think he did. But it's a big thing. I'd say.
Actually, Jesse helped him out in that. He transported.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought. I mean,
cannons.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun. Whenever you like, my character lives in the Middle Keys. John's character lives in Key West. Steve Becker's character lives 1.5 miles on the next island from Jesse. How would these guys not know each other?
Right.
So obviously. So we just put it in our books, just in passing. Jesse pulls into a marina, waves hi to Mac. How you doing? Then they just go on their way. But this time Mac asked for a favor, and Jesse said, "Oh yeah, sure, I can do that."
That's a cool thing that we get to do is trade characters occasionally. You've shown up in a couple of my stories.
Yeah.
As a crusty old sea captain nobody likes.
I've been around.
Yeah.
Sally has me in her new book.
Oh, good.
Sally
Good.
Wells.
Yes.
Yeah. We're going to have to get her into Sea Adventures pretty soon.
Yeah. There's plenty of room.
Yeah.
Like you taught me 6 years ago. We're not competitors, we're colleagues. There's plenty of readers.
Yeah.
They're thirsty for what we create. The more of us there are.
I didn't give you the green light to go ahead and start writing 12 books a year.
And I was smart enough not to ask for permission.
That 28th when you just passed me.
Oh gosh.
You now have the longest series in Sea Adventures.
Oh wow. That's
because Randy Wayne White held that title until my last release, which beat him by a couple of weeks. And now you're ahead of both of us.
and what a legend Randy is.
Yeah.
Well, he's
Everything
got a
he
new
writes
one
is
coming
magic.
out. I believe he's got a new one coming out in June.
He does.
July. The Doc Ford people reached out to Tropical Authors saying, hey, can you mention this? And I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah. Can Randy join our group?
Yeah. Well, I think he really wished he'd been with us there. From what I could hear on the holding that iPad up in that loud restaurant.
Can we mention the possibility of a group signing prior to Nick? Or
the people at Doc Ford's liked the idea of that.
I think I did.
and Randy seemed interested in it when I was talking to him on the iPad. He was saying, I really wish I could be there now. Because he had the flu or something. So yeah, we could definitely basically he'd have a table the whole time, and then the rest of us, I'm just thinking 2 or 3 of us at a table and the others hang out at the bar. And then we sort of cycle through and grab the books
rotate.
Somewhere in St. Pete, right?
Yeah, a TA takeover.
Ford's Rum Bar.
That's
we
the
let
same
them
one.
pick.
Yeah.
Either the jungle or the other one, whichever one they want, I would say.
I hope we can put that together. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah,
No,
I would love to do
It's a lot
that.
of fun.
Yeah.
Well, we're way into overtime, and Greta's just
I
about
got it.
has dinner ready. And I know she's listening downstairs. Take the broom and bang on the ceiling. So we're going to go ahead and close up now. I want to thank you guys for coming all this way just to sit down and chat for half an hour. But it's always a lot of fun when I get together with Dan. I'm wearing my Soggy Dollar shirt to commemorate our cruise from 3 years ago. And it's just always a good time when I get together with you. You're just a fun guy to hang around. You're leaving. You're turning around and flying back tonight.
We are. But I have to get back to the real world. And,
Yeah. He has to work tomorrow.
I get to work tomorrow. It's a privilege. It's a privilege. Thank you, Wayne, as always, for having me. It's always a great pleasure to spend any time we can together, and especially to do these things. We lead off the season every year with these, and I always look forward to coming.
And we're gonna continue this each year,
I love it.
and not just have you on, but we're going to bring on a new author every year.
Oh, I like it.
That'd be cool.
I like it. And if we can get you writing in the sea adventure category,
I'll try it.
you can be one of us.
Thank you for having me on. I
Yeah.
really
Alright.
cool to be up
It's great
here.
to
And
meet you.
I was telling Dan, there's a bit of a legacy of you helping him helping me. Hoping to pay that forward, and it's a really
Well,
healthy community.
he was saying earlier that nobody would ever have heard of him if it hadn't been for me. Now, we all know that's bullshit. I mean, what happened was I was reading his first book and I thought, damn, this is really good. And so I texted my friend Dawn. I said, hey, you got to read this book. It's by this new author. His name's Cap Daniels. She said, oh, I'm reading it already. I said, oh, we got to do something. So she sent out a newsletter the week later touting his first book. I sent out a newsletter 2 days after that, same thing. And he's sitting down there in Alabama and said, what happened here?
Before you two made that recommendation, I had sold 182 books in my life. That was my career at that point. The day after those emails went out, we sold 1,290 copies in one day, thanks to the two of you. And what a springboard that was to an amazing writing career that I love more every day.
My point is, it would have happened anywhere. We were just the first to discover a good talent. That's
Thank
all.
you. That's a
It
very
has
kind.
nothing to do with anything else.
Very
You
kind.
would
Thank
would have probably within a week or two.
But how much is there to say though for the inspiration and the warmth welcoming someone into the community?
Mhm.
I mean, I've had all kind of hobbies, and there's a lot of hobbies where people are not welcoming of new people. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you gotta know what you're doing before you come around here.
Yeah.
And the writing world is just not that way. That there's, I always felt really, really welcomed, and I think that probably kept me going, and still keeps me going.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the people I've met in the last 10 years and became friends with and colleagues with and fans of, and it's just, I never would have thought that one day I'd be rubbing elbows with, famous writers. And here we are.
And we're nothing special.
Yeah.
We're just dummies who stumbled into a really great job.
Yeah.
And we can tell
it's
stories.
a great job.
That's
It's the
the
greatest
thing.
job in the
Being
world.
able to tell a story.
Yeah.
And I think storytelling it's a natural thing that people have.
Yeah.
Everybody has a story, and
Sure.
everybody can tell a story. And it's just a matter of, leading the audience along and just letting them discover everything as you unveil the story.
Absolutely.
And then if you can sit around a fire like we were out back there and just sit around and tell a story for 20 or 30 minutes and everybody is just hanging on your every word, you can be a novelist.
You're a
no
storyteller.
problem.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks again for y'all coming, and thank you, Nick, and thank all the audience for being on with us. A special thanks to our supporters, Down Island Press, Aurora Publicity, How Not to Sail, Latitudes and Attitudes,
Pirate Radio, Tropical.
Pirate Radio.
That's the other one. That's the other-
once more, 5 years,
Yep.
and there's still no sticky pad on the computer. Good night, everybody.
Good night.